Hello everybody, welcome into Watch Me Wednesday episode number 89. It is the final week in our Pansy Garden Quilt Along, so it is week number 4. I've seen some great progress in our Quilt Alongs group. Some people have been posting their blocks and some of their quilts, and I'm so excited to see all that. Welcome in everybody. So this is our final week in the Quilt Along, but doesn't mean it's our last Quilt Along. We will be doing more. And again, if you haven't joined in yet on this Quilt Along, you can hop in on any time because these videos are saved to my Facebook page and to my YouTube channel. So if you didn't have time to make this quilt right at the moment, you can do so at any given time. So I hope you do that. Hi everybody, welcome on in. So, as I was saying, it is week number 4 in our Quilt Along, and I've got a few tips for you to finish up your quilt because by now, a lot of you are there or working towards that. You've got your quilt top done and you're ready to add your borders on. So I wanted to talk about adding those borders on. So again, we are working on Pansy Garden. And yeah, I know that functionality in Facebook's still not working. I keep trying and it's just not working to get you to be able to read it correctly. So my apologies. But what I'm going to be talking about is putting that extra little border around your Pansy Garden quilt today. Now, as you know, my actual quilt is on display in the AccuQuilt gallery. So I don't have that quilt here with me, but I am going to show you. I completed a block because I'm working on a ton of different things now. So I completed a block and we're going to pretend that that's the whole quilt. So it's really one block, but we're going to use our imaginations and pretend it's the entire quilt done. Are you okay with that? I hope so, because that's what I've got today. So hit the share button. We're going to talk about borders. I'm going to turn let me pick the block up. So, and you'll also want to know too that I did make a little boo-boo or 2 little boo-boos when I sewed together. So I have to unpick them when I'm done here and rotate a block around. But anyway, here's my completed block. And if you can see, this one here, this block and this block are placed on wrong. They have to be rotated a quarter of the way around. So that was my boo-boo. I was trying to work super fast, and of course I did work super fast and I wasn't really paying attention. So it happens, and it happens to all of us. So no worries. If it happens to you, you can use that great old seam ripper too, just like I'm going to be doing when I'm done here. So I just lost my corner square. Hang on. Got it. Okay, so I'm going to turn the camera around because I want you to see the process that I go through when I add borders to a quilt. It's really important to do this because you want to keep that quilt as square as possible. You don't want wavy borders, especially if you don't quilt your own quilts and you're giving it to a long armor. They don't always quilt out, I should say. And long armors like the quilts to lay flat. Trust me, the flatter the better. So I'm going to show you a few little tricks, okay? So I'm going to turn the camera down so you can kind of see what I'm doing here. Okay, so this is our quilt top, and the first thing that you want to do is you want to take your tape measure and you're going to measure at 3 different spots on your quilt top. So you're going to measure from side to side. You're going to write that measurement down, and you're going to do it from at the top of your quilt. Then you're going to come to the middle of your quilt and you're going to measure again and write that measurement down, and then come down to the bottom of your quilt and do the same measurement and write that down, okay? Then you will take the average of the 3 measurements, and that is the measurement that you're going to use to cut your top and your bottom, or in this case it can be side to side, either way, it doesn't matter. But those will be your first set of borders So you're going to cut those that length. So I'm going to pretend here that this is my border strip, and obviously it's folded over. But what I would do is whatever that measurement was, I would cut. I'm not going to lay my border down here on the quilt and then cut it. I actually really want to measure my border strip and cut it to the measurement, because your quilt has movement in it. So you want to really measure it flat on a cutting mat and cut it to that accurate size, okay? Once you've got 2 pieces cut out, so you're gonna get 2 border strips cut out, you're gonna sew one onto one side, one onto the other side. And you will just sew straight down, okay? So that's gonna be your first. Then you're going to take the borders and you will press them out towards the border strip, okay? So the other border will go here and you will press them out. Then you're gonna take your measuring tape again and you're gonna get some new measurements. You're gonna measure again at the top, measure out from the outside edge to the outside edge. Do the same in the middle, and then do the same in the bottom third. You're gonna write those measurements down, okay? Then you're gonna cut your border. Actually, I should say, sorry. This quilt is a little different because I forgot we have cornerstones. So when you do that first measurement, I stand corrected. So let's backtrack just a little bit. I stand corrected. We have to cut 4 borders the same length as the first measurement that you did, because the measurement's going to be the same, because this is a square quilt and we're adding cornerstones to our border pieces. So the border, the cornerstones are going to make it that extra length. So my apologies. So the first number that you got, you're going to cut 4 border strips that length. The 2 that you've sewn on here are going to be pressed out. Then what you're going to do is you're going to take that top and bottom border strip and you're going to sew your cornerstones on to either end of it, and you're going to pin the cornerstones in where this seam is from the quilt to the border. But the cornerstones here, when you press these, press them in towards your border, because that way these seams will nest when you join the tops and the bottoms. So you're going to put cornerstones on both the top and the bottom pieces. So you have 2. And you put the cornerstones on the top and the bottom of both pieces. And then you're going to press them in towards the border. And then you're going to add them to the top and the bottom of the quilt. And you're going to press out towards your borders so it will lay perfectly flat. Remember, these will nest in with here with your side borders as long as you press out towards the side. So that's how you get an accurate measurement for your border units, because if you just were to cut it, you were to measure it and cut it, or not even measure it, if you just sewed a strip onto the end and then lopped it off at the top, that's what's going to give you your wavy borders. If you measure, it's going to keep your quilt nice and square for your long armor and or for yourself if you're the quilter on the quilt. So make sure you do those measurements. That's super duper important. Okay? So I'm going to turn the camera back up, and I just have a few other things that I wanted to talk about today. So hi, here I am again. So I can't wait to see what your borders are going to look like on your quilts. There's some great pictures on or I should say in the Quilt Along group that I'll actually repost and share, because some people have some great versions going on in the Pansy garden, which is phenomenal. So if you didn't get to it yet, you can still. I had a couple things I wanted to mention. I have been really hard at work getting things ready for Quilt Market coming up. If you haven't seen my post yet, go take a look. I was able to finally show you what I will be launching, my fabric line that I will be launching at Quilt Market in the fall is. It's called Ancient Etchings, and it's near and dear to my heart. So take a look on my Facebook page and you will see some posts using the fabric. So that will be launched at Quilt Market and won't be available until February in your stores. But here's the cool surprise. I am so excited because yesterday, what got dropped on my doorstep, finally, my Electric Desert fabric collection that I launched at Spring Market is available. I will have it up on the site. I'm going to try and get it up on the site tonight for you to purchase tomorrow. I do have the strip packs and the stack packs are up already and they are available. I'll put a link above my head. But I love this collection and I hope you do too. Pretty turquoise, purples and pinks and coppers. Really super pretty, lots and lots of texture going on. So if you're looking for texture and color, this is the line for you. It's my Electric Desert collection, and of course, because I live in the desert, it has a great significance and meaning to me. So I hope you really like it as much as I do. Anyway, I will be back next week because after next week, I'm on a little bit of a hiatus until I get back. I will be teaching on a quilting cruise with Stitch in Heaven with two other teachers, and we are going to Hawaii for 10 days. So I can't wait to quilt and teach on that cruise. So I will be here next week, next Wednesday, but after that, I won't be back for a few weeks because I'm not going to have really good internet service. Having been on cruises before, internet service and streaming is very iffy. So I hope you'll join me next week. In the meantime, get to work on those Pansy Garden quilts, finish them up, put them in the Quilt Alongs group, and I hope to see some finished ones coming up. Somebody, I believe it was Rosemary, had a finished one in the group and it looks fantastic. I will snag the picture and I will post it so that you all can see. But everybody's working along great. Some great fabrics have been chosen and I can't wait to see those finished Pansy Garden quilts. So thanks for joining me today. And that wraps up our week 4 and our Pansy Garden Quilt Along. So I'm so glad you all joined me for that. And I hope you have a fantastic week. Happy quilting to you all. Bye-bye.